Welcome to Pulse Field Expert. One of you has requested more Power Query tutorials. I too think Power Query is a step forward for Excel. Every would-be data analyst must have in-depth knowledge of Power Query and Power Pivot to use Excel for next-level data analysis. Therefore, our next topic is also on Power Query. We have already done a video on the introduction of Power Query. For those who have not watched that, I suggest watching that prior to this video is a good idea. Today we will learn the techniques of data cleaning using Power Query. Let's now open our data table. This is a customer database. Like every Office Excel, this one has its title, subtitle, etc. on the first few rows. Then it has the table heads in 2 rows. Under that it has data. Also, it has a few incomplete rows where the key field customer code is missing. Some columns have headers in 2 rows, but some columns like gender and age have just 1 row. We also have the preferred shipping method in 1 column, but this has 2 separate pieces of information combined. The air and surface shipping coupled with priority, premium, and regular types of handling. Our task would be to clean the top rows containing the title, subtitle, etc. Then create a data header row, combining pieces of information from both the header rows. Create separate shipping method and handling columns, removing all the rows with empty customer codes. Without customer codes, we can't use the information. In addition to that, we want a new column with the full name alongside the first name and last name. I will now close this dataset and open a new blank Excel file. Here I will use the Get Data from File and select Excel Workbook. This will open a system dialog box for the selection of the Excel workbook where we have our data. The system will now establish a connection to the data workbook and show us available tables. Our data is in the Sheet 1. We can verify that by clicking on Sheet 1. If the data was clean, we could directly click the Load button. We need to clean the data, therefore we will click the Transform button. Now Power Query window will open. The Power Query window has a few basic sections. This is the top menu bar and ribbon. Next, the Queries panel. Now it has only one query as we have invoked a single query to get data. If we use multiple data connections, then they will all appear as separate data queries in this section. Then we have the formula area. We will come back to this area later. Then right below, we have the data view. Though this looks similar to Excel, this area is very different. You can't edit data directly here. You can modify data based on rules, which will be registered under the applied steps, but no direct editing. Then on the right, we have all the applied steps. Any modifications done through the Power Query UI will be registered here. While importing our dataset, the Power Query has registered 4 steps here. The first one is the source selection. Here we can see both the Sheet 1 and 2. Next, we have the navigation step. Here we are selecting the Sheet 1. Then we have a step named Promoted Headers. Here Power Query has promoted the first row to act as header. The last one is defining the data types. Now obviously our data did not have the column headers at the top row. Therefore, the promoted header step was wrongly done by Power Query. We can delete this step. But as we delete the step, the next step will automatically create an error. Every Power Query step refers to the previous step. Since we have deleted the step before this change type step, it can't find the reference to the previous step any longer. One can actually correct that in the script window, but we will simply remove this step as we have to perform many other important steps for cleaning our data. If we look at our present data table, The first four rows have no important information. We must remove those rows to clean our dataset. In the Power Query menu ribbon, we have this Remove Rows button, under which we have Remove Top Rows. We will use that in the dialog box. We will write 4, as we want to remove the first 4 rows. Then click OK. Now we have the first 4 rows removed. But we still have our data headers in 2 rows. To correct this, I will open the Transform tab, select the whole data set and click on Transpose. This basically interchanges columns and rows. With this, we will have our headers in our first 2 columns now. While keeping the first 2 columns selected, under the Add Column ribbon, I will select the Column from Examples menu. This adds a new column to the dataset. This action is intelligent, and here Power Query tries to fill up the new column based on whatever columns were selected with whatever logic may be suitable by examining my typed input. I will type serial and then number in the first row. As I do that, the whole column is automatically filled up with the right formula. We can also see the formula that Power Query used to achieve this. I will click OK here and accept this new column. Now from the context menu, I will move this newly created column to the beginning of the table. The newly created column with the full names of the data head is now the first column. We no longer need the 2 columns containing the fragments of the column names. We can delete them from the context menu. I will select the entire data set again, and under the Transform menu, click the Transpose button again. Now we have got back our original data. Now we have just one row for our data headers. In the Home tab on the ribbon menu, we have this option, Use the first row as header. This will add the Promoted Headers step back to the added steps. Now we have the data header in the right place. I will now filter out any null value in the customer code. On the customer code column, next to the column name, there is this filter button. Click on it and unselect null, then click OK. The null values in the dataset are also removed now. Next, we need to separate the preferred shipping method column into 2 columns, transport method and priority. To do this, we will use the split column function under the Transform tab. Within the split column function, we will select the option by delimiter. This opens up a new dialog box. Here I will select custom for the delimiter and type space because the delimiter is actually that. I will also select the rightmost delimiter from the select menu. This is not essential, as in our data we don't have more than one delimiter in one character string. Now as we click OK, the preferred shipping method column splits into 2 columns. We need to name them correctly. We can rename a column by double-clicking on the header. We will name them Transport Method and Priority. Next, we need to add a new column with the full name of each customer. I will insert a new column from examples while keeping the first name and last name columns selected. Then type in one first name, then a space, and then the last name. The entire column of the full names will be created automatically. We will rename this column full name and drag the column next to the first name and last name columns. We are done with the data cleaning now. In the Home tab of the Power Query, I will now click Close and Load. Data will now be loaded onto Excel, neat and clean, ready for analysis, exactly as desired. The data is inserted into a new sheet. I will name the sheet Customers. You can also see the queries and connection panel here. Here we can see the connection. The sync button on the right top syncs the data. Suppose there is any change in data, that will be updated with all the applied cleaning steps in the Power Query. If we double-click on the connection, the Power Query edit window will open again. You can see all the applied steps remain as it is. We can add more steps. If we do not want the serial number for our analysis, we can remove that column, then close and load to reload the data with the updated Power Query. Now our data set does not have the serial number anymore. Also, there is this query menu in Excel. You can access the Power Query from here too. We will now save the file. Like always, I will keep a link in the description box for the files used in this project. Power Query is a proper data manipulation system. It is extremely powerful. The same system is used within Power BI too. But the use of Power Query is also vast. I will try to come up with more Power Query videos with more concepts and use cases. But like any good data tool, use cases are only limited by the imagination of the user. Thanks for watching. Kindly subscribe to the Pulsefield Expert channel and click the bell icon for notifications. Hope to see you in another such training video soon.